Spiral, 2 Jews, 2 mics, 2 hours, starting now.
Hello?
Hi.
Who's this?
No one good.
I'm pretending that I don't see a FaceTime? Is that the bit?
Yeah, or here, apparently.
I have a few acting moves, all right? So, like, if I'm hard of hearing, I kind of look away and like that.
Yeah, I think you should cup your ear.
Hey? Good morning, Joshua. Hey, you have a long sleeve. Well, you always wear long sleeve shirts? Or
No.
you doing it in solidarity with me?
I am, yes.
Well, I appreciate that because the doctor, yesterday I went out and many people said, go back in. Okay, the timing's off and no material.
Was that a groundhog joke or was that a...
It is Groundhog Day today, right?
Yesterday.
It's Groundhog Day, and then the joke is that I say it every day. That movie was a great movie, and I haven't seen it in years, but when I saw it like a couple of times.
Yeah. Over
and it was
over.
Good, right?
I saw it over and over.
You did?
Every day. When
oh, you joker. Oh, you smoker. But it was very... Does it hold up?
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie.
It's a fantastic movie.
And it absolutely, I think, has that quality that can make it a sort of perennial all-time classic. Besides being occasion based, so anyone who owns the rights can show it on Groundhog's Day.
That's why.
But it was such an easy movie. I'm sorry to get all nerdy with you about that movie, but it was such an easy movie to break.
How do you mean break?
I mean, just in terms of directing it and telling the story, it would be so easy to make that just fall apart as a device.
Oh, right,
a premise.
Right. Yes, you would be bored.
Too bored or too repetitive or
yes,
any number of things could have gone wrong with it if in worse hands than Harold Ramis.
Harold Ramis was the director, right?
Yes.
This is why I'm a bad interviewer. I knew he was the director.
Also the lip smacking.
You know, the doctor says, how can I blame this on my doctor somehow? Now, I have things to talk about. I will, of course, as you know, I'm very quiet. I'm very demure. So why don't you start?
Okay. What's up, Andy?
Okay, thanks for asking. All right. There's two things that are up. One thing is we watch all the Grammys now.
Ouch.
We just watch them.
Ouch.
I know, it's not as bad as you think because, okay, first of all, here's something that I don't believe is music. This is one of the best new artists of last year. Not Beyonce. Beanie Beansy. Something like that is his name. Benny Benso. Maybe that's his name. He starts out in the audience. Somehow Nikki Glaser is again involved. She's there. Rips off his clothes, and he's got like a lame or like a blue lame thing. He hops up on stage, and the first thing he does is he does like a triple flip off of the piano onto the floor. And then at the end, he does a flip, bum, and at the end of the song.
That's very exciting.
It is exciting. And it reminded me, interestingly enough, because in music, in comedy, you can find a lowbrow version of everything that you can find in music or in gymnastics. Okay? There was a comic, his name was Chaz Elsner. You probably heard the name.
I do remember that name. I don't.
Yes.
I can't put a face to it. Or a backflip, for that matter.
Right. And his shtick was, I'll flip for you. Mm-hmm. I'll flip for you. And at the end of his show, he would do a flip. And that seemed to be marvelous for the comedy club audiences. Yes. How does he do it? Just like when I watched the Grammys. Oh, my God, what if he got hurt? Yeah. Yeah, and there's also a thing called Cirque du Soleil, and there's also a thing called...
No, but it's a conundrum, though, I have to say.
Whoa?
I'm not saying it was good comedy. First, let me put that to the side.
Right, Chaz.
But you go, I don't know what he was like as a comic besides the backflip closer.
Bad. I saw him.
You can figure if the only thing you could think of for the backflip was I'll flip for you, you kind of can extrapolate the rest of the act from that.
Yes.
But let's say you're a good comic, for sake of argument, and you have this ability to do a backflip.
I've been doing it every show.
Right. So that's the thing. So the conundrum becomes, do you do it or not? But how do you work it in a way that's not hacky, that you don't become just the backflip guy? You know?
I don't think there's a way to do it.
Like the best analogy I can make is our friend Chris Bliss, who started his career as this world famous juggler, you know,
right.
Opened for the Jacksons on the Victory Tour, you know, big rock and roll act. And then he started doing stand up. And he also had this juggling. So, of course, he starts closing his act with the juggling.
Which killed,
you know, and it made it, he became a headliner much quicker because no one could follow the fucking juggling if he was featuring. So, for a while, he was kind of a feature act with a huge closer.
Good description.
But then he became like a very good stand-up. You know, and a very smart stand-up and, you know, political leaning. And then, but he still had this fucking closer, which everyone booked him for, but it sort of started to become really incongruous with the rest of his act.
I didn't even know this guy could juggle until he got into it.
Right. So he ended up, you know, his career had this weird thing all the time. You know, that was, you know, I was there when Louis Lee was like, told him, you don't have to juggle. It's like the only club.
He really said that to him?
Yeah.
Wow.
But he still did, because, like, why would you keep that from the audience? I mean, he did have this thing, and you can look it up somewhere. If you look up Chris Bliss juggling finale on YouTube, you can see it.
It made me cry, Josh. I'm serious.
No,
I thought it was great.
You know, I've seen it hundreds of times in my life now, you know, over the last 35 years, probably, because of all the shows we've done together. And, no, the amount of joy it gives an audience.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be a dick to not give it to them.
Especially with the
and
Beatles
yet,
music,
it's the thing he's been doing since he was a teenager, and now he's 70. You know, it's like...
Now he's 70? He really is 70.
I believe he is, yeah.
Remember when we used to say, what am I, 70? Now it's a real thing.
Yeah. I just say that to my algorithm now.
Wait, I because I interrupted too many times, as I always do. Did you tell the Paul McCartney part of it?
What Paul McCartney part of it?
That he did it to Beatles music.
Yes, he did.
And Paul McCartney said it was okay at some point. Paul McCartney saw it.
No, it was, well, I think Paul McCartney has seen it, but when the video of this went viral many years ago, in the very early days of viral videos, and, it was Ringo who stepped in and said, if Sony gives you shit, I'm going to put it on my site and they can tell me to take it down, you know?
And Ringo, remember, does not give autographs anymore. And he went the extra mile for Chris Bliss. Wow.
Even though Ringo had he didn't write the songs, so it's like, what could he, but he could make a fuss.
The thing that's amazing to me is that I always wanted to do things like I was like a tumbler when I was a little kid, and I think I've told you this a million times. I was in something called the Seven Fays. I didn't know who the Foys were. I didn't even know what it was. But this guy's name was Fay, and he named
was it the Seven Little Fays?
Something like that.
Because it was the Seven Little Foys.
Yes, it was the Seven Little Fays, and I was always the one who was I think I was at the top of the pyramid or something like that. And I could do things. I could do certain things well. I could fall well. I could tumble well. I did a lovely.
You're still doing it.
I did a lovely back. You know, like I could do a back flip, like from my flat back, and then get up that way.
What? That's not a backflip. That's a snapping
it's not
to your
backflip.
feet. Yes.
No, right. Yeah, it's not backflip. It's you're on your back and you boom.
Right. But you can't do that anymore, I assume.
No. And then I talked to my friend David, who I was in college with. What a sweet guy. And he tried to show me. He said, the thing that's weird about a backflip is that it's actually very easy to do, but I don't have the flexibility. But he had the flexibility because your hands are, he explained to me, your hands are almost already there.
But that's a back spring you're talking about.
Maybe, but that's what he was trying to teach me, the back spring.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's the difference?
Well, a back flip doesn't involve your hands. a back spring, you go back onto your hands and flip over. That's a handspring, a back handspring.
Oh no! But he didn't touch this. He didn't touch it. He's just explained to me. He didn't touch the ground. Okay. He's just explained to me that you're already close. So maybe it's still a back spring. Whatever the thing was, I could never do it because I had too much fear and maybe no ability. And maybe that wasn't for me to do.
It's an act of faith, the backflip.
It's an act of faith. And you did it?
No, only on trampolines.
Yes. And you remember the Peter Gawke story? It always reminds me of the famous Peter Gawke story.
Not famous enough to reach me.
Peter Gawke, this is maybe the best story I've ever heard. And watch me butcher it. Peter Gawke, who you know that name, right?
Uh-huh.
He used to be a contortionist almost. He could wrap his body into all kinds of things. Very interesting guy and a very funny guy when I used to see him. He had that joke where he go, I plan to live forever. So far, so good. He had a lot of stuff like that, you know. But he tells this story.
Kind of emo-y in its way.
Yeah, but yeah, right. He was a little bit more not as tied into one voice. Mm-hmm. Well, not emo. Don't get me started. All right, so he's at this. He was a world-class person at one point for these gymnastics things, right? And he's at this big meet. Thousands of people are in the room. And one of the guys who's the best in the world says, "Hey, everybody!" He said, "This is the way he says it. Hey, everybody, watch this." He does some kind of a flip. He lands on his head and he dies. So that's an actual story. But Peter Gawke then does a whole imagining of like, where else would you? How else would that be embarrassing? You know, like, well, hey, everybody, watch this, and then you crack your neck. But why am I not able to? You know what? Is it I can't convey stories or what?
I don't know.
Do you think it would
pretty much had a guy dying and didn't bring the funny part?
Well, no, because it's not like the joke, the famous joke, "Ta-da," right? You know that joke, "Ta-da," where a guy says, "If I come up here and you can hit me over the head with a hammer and nothing will happen." So he gets hit over the head with a hammer. The guy's in the hospital. He's in a coma for 6 months. He wakes up and he goes, "Ta-da!"
Yeah.
Right. But in this case, the way Peter Gawke tells the story, it's a horrifying story, but even as it's happening, probably somewhat funny that someone would call attention to his move.
Right.
So I don't know how I got into that, but I did get into it, and I got into it good.
You got in, you just didn't get out.
I didn't get out. So, all right, so that's the backflip guy. Beyonce, not Beyonce. It's not Beyonce. Beyonce won Album of the Year and Song of the Year. But so he flips down, and I just was thinking, like, again, I've already talked about it, how that story's over. Okay, so my second story. Okay, ready? Jay, you know this probably. Jay Johnston's out. And he's talking.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of it?
No.
He's on Tim Pool's show.
Yeah.
And he's talking about how his friends turned him in. And this is the kind of thing he's saying.
He's out for revenge.
No, he goes, first of all, he doesn't ever explain why the fuck were you there? You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's like, it wasn't really a right. Well, why were you there? Who would go to that January 6th thing? Well, how did you end up there? Right. Oh, I was just curious.
Right.
No. He's a right-wing MAGA asshole, right? Is what I concluded. So he goes, and of course he goes, they were handing, he was in that thing where they were pushing through into the door where they almost crushed the cop's head. You remember that thing? There was a Capitol policeman's head in the door, and they just stop. Right. He was in a heave ho. So he claims that he had a policeman's shield in his hands that he very nicely gave to another policeman, and that got him in trouble. I mean, he's just lying about the whole thing. But the thing is, it's just like, it's just fascinating. It's not fascinating to me. It's scary to me on one level. And what I think it is that he's a funny guy, and he always knew not to. He just absolutely, I spent not a lot, millions of hours with him, but many hours with him on various projects and stuff like that. He couldn't have been the sweetest, superficially, the sweetest guy. Although now when I think back, he it was all very kind of superficial in a way. Like I never felt like I
show
get
business?
close. No, but I mean, like I wasn't close friends. Like Paul F. Tompkins was like his partner for a long time.
Yeah.
But I wasn't that close friends with him. So it was much like that. And he's the one who told me about the Sarno book that cured his back problems. But the thing is that he's whining. It's just to me, he's whining. Like he's angry at his friends, and nobody called him during this whole thing.
Yeah.
Except people who informed, people. I guess it was, I don't know who it was, Tim Heinecker, a couple of people, many people called to say it was him. But he's angry at this one person who was a close friend of his. And he's like, and nobody called me. And my question to you is, who the fuck, why would you want to call him? Why do you want to call him?
Right.
Maybe if you were like friends with him since childhood, you would call him and go, what the hell happened?
Right.
But comedy friends are not going to, comedy friends who are embarrassed by his behavior, why should they call him?
Right.
So he's really coming out as, he's the victim now.
Right.
He's the victim, and I'm fascinated by it. I just can't get enough of it. And I'm surprised, not surprised, but I'm not, you probably know who this Tim Pool is, because I've been fascinated with this right-wing thing for years. Tim Pool started with the Occupy Wall Street thing, and during the Occupy Wall Street thing, he actually was kind of like an interesting person or whatever, and then, like many, many people, he went from that to being a right-wing Nazi, kind of. So I just think here's who else was with him at he's on the Tim Pool show, and here's the people on the panel with him, with Jay Johnston, which I also like. He can't get a solo shot now. You know what I mean? Maybe he will, but not yet. He's just on a panel of horrible people. He'll try and parlay it later.
Sure.
Stuart Rhodes, who's the head of the Oath Keepers, Jacob Shanley.
Oh.
Don't squeeze the shaman.
Uh-huh.
I got that from Ed Krasnick. Yeah. He used to say, don't squeeze the shaman. All right. So he's with these people, and these are his friends now. So it's just as like how much money there is involved in this, which is all it was, I'm sure, mostly about with these hideous people, Tim Pool and all these people, but just how it all went so horribly wrong. I mean, I hated it when it started, but how it went from this guy Tim Pool is a guy who's he's interested in organizing Occupy Wall Street, because I remember during Occupy Wall Street, it was a typical thing with my brother and I. When Occupy Wall Street was going on, I don't even remember. I remember the event. I remember having some mixed feelings, or I liked some of it or whatever. But my brother would go, "How about that Occupy Wall Street, eh?" To me, right? And it would just drive me crazy with it. And this is before we agreed to stop talking about politics. Right. But he would drive me nuts with it. I said, Robert, I'm not representing. And of course, he's on Wall Street, so
I was
I'm
about
sure.
To say, he, as an investment banker, he's kind of a or whatever his thing is.
But the amount of money that's involved in this, and you have people like Tom Segura, who's made all this money being a comedian. But then you have a lot of people who have made all this money being right-wing operatives, basically.
Right.
Corolla, all these people, they're making their money. I know you think Rob Schneider has a big general appeal, but he doesn't. It's only these right-wing people. Okay, here's the thing I want to say. You seem to be you're not surprised by any of this, right? Nor did it upset you initially that this happened. You know what I mean? Like it upset me.
What are you talking
that these people
about?
all went right wing and they all made, Dave Chappelle. You were upset with Chappelle.
I mean, yeah, but I didn't feel betrayed by Chappelle. I just felt like, what a dick,
Right. Well, that's the difference between me and you.
Yeah.
You say what a dick, and I go, and I
don't start with the assumption that comedian equals righteous.
No, but let me say this. Ted Sarandos, I was actually not very friendly with him, but I see him at the festivals. And so it enraged me when the people at Netflix complained about his horrible specials, and he yelled at them, just shut up, he said to them. He apologized for it later.
Yeah.
right? But that kind of stuff has always enraged me because,
and you're right to be enraged by it. I mean, that's a different thing than a stand-up becomes a dick, you know?
Right. Well, I'm not even saying, I'm just joking about how you're reacting to it.
Yeah.
But the idea that that these people would and also that it also got involved with the free speech thing.
Right.
That's the Justine Bateman. Thank God. Free speech.
And that's, I mean, yes, and that's the false crossover point for a lot of these people.
Right.
I mean, a lot of it comes down to my theory of, scolding narcissists. You know, a lot. If you scold a narcissist, they will tend to go for the place where people praise them. You know.
Right. Yes.
And this has been the age of scolding.
Right.
So I'm not saying that the scolding people are all wrong either. But the tone of everything right now is such that it's like pick a team as opposed,
right.
You know.
Except this only works one way. There are not left-wing comedians who are making money of the.
Well, I mean,
no, you're not both siding it, really, are you?
No.
I'm misinterpreting.
I'm trying to understand what you're saying, but
good luck.
But people have tried to, certainly the Young Turks and things like that have tried to monetize the left.
Oh, no, they're terrible. They're terrible. But I don't think Shank, see, that's where I go different. I don't think Jank, who I used to call Janktimonious, I don't think of him as having politics at all. But you're absolutely right. He came from the left. Yeah. And now even he wanted Trump to win. No.
Jimmy Dore started trying to monetize the left and went, nope, let's go for the right.
Who's that?
Jimmy Dore just started out as a lefty that became a righty, you know.
Yeah. So, so the thing is that there's a germ of truth to this. Not a germ of truth. There's maybe a lot of truth. There's always been people go, you can't talk about that. You can't talk about that. It's always been part of comedy that you do go up to the line of, you're trying to shock on. It's not everything.
Well, but it's the myth of cancel culture.
Yes,
caused all these people to try to make themselves into free speech folk heroes to the right. You know,
like the guy who talked about Puerto Rico. That's a perfect example. The Puerto Rican comic. I mean, the guy who did the joke about Puerto Rican being a shithole.
Right.
Yeah, he's
the Kill Tony.
He's trying to. What's that?
The Kill Tony guy.
Kill Tony guy. Right.
But I haven't heard shit from him since that happened.
No. You see, I think even people like him, I don't know who he is, but he's maybe intelligent enough to know that it's all fucked up. Maybe he's.
Yeah, I mean, he
had a great career before that.
He might value being a part of the comedy community more than being a part of the fucking MAGA community. It's very possible,
And not only that, he tried to say when he first started that it was all in, and he's like one of these guys. It's just insult comedy,
right?
Because they have footage of him. There was an Asian guy opening up for him, and he comes in. This is all before it all happened, and Tony comes in. And goes, I can't believe you. I'm not saying when he said this, laughing at this, and then all the horrible things about Japanese, Asian people and all that kind of stuff. He says that's a joke. He says that's a joke. That's like Rickles or like somebody, and so it's like there is a truth.
Well,
to
it is a joke like Rickles. It's just not. It's just there's no longer place for jokes like Rickles.
There's no longer
anymore,
place. Exactly.
But it absolutely is a joke like Rickles.
Right, but at least, okay. Then it gets to the whole thing like, well, obviously Rickles was an actual comedian. He wasn't like a mean guy. You know what I mean? Like he had problems, but he wasn't malicious, even though he. Stirred up stuff.
Yeah, but that's all eye of the beholder shit, I think. It's I'm not trying to condemn Rickles. He obviously existed in his time and was beloved.
And
I'm just saying you can't do that anymore.
But even when he was doing it then, and he would tell Dave, people say I'm, because of the war, I'm anti-Japanese. I go to L.A., I go to Mr. Chow's all the time. And of course that's Chinese. Right. And then Letterman goes, the letters, you can write the letters to this. He was people then did that
because everyone played along because it's Don Rickles,
right,
and he had the force of personality both on and off stage to keep that balance in check, to convince everybody that he's a good person. I'm not saying he wasn't, but I'm saying that, you know, 60 years in show business plus, you know, he'd had enough interactions with people that people knew who he was as a person.
Right,
you know, to balance it with who he was on stage.
Yes. Although that's a story that Regis told me. Regis told me he was in, I'll never forget Regis. Regis put me down so bad. Like, you know, I was late for my limousine until it gets to Letterman. I said, I was in BLS. I said, BL I don't have a problem with, but S I do. And Regis goes, is this an example of your material, Kindler? This was like in the makeup room. Is this the kind of material?
And he went, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Well, he tells a story about being in Malibu out with Rickles or something, and that Rickles just lays into this 11-year-old. Get the fuck out of here. Whatever it was, the kid just starts crying.
Yeah.
So, again, you have to know the context.
That's right.
And he probably was someone's uncle, Rickles, that you couldn't
I
stop.
had an uncle who was a lot like Rickles, both in appearance and in manner, and I hated him when I was a little kid.
My friend, Stewie Lerman, his uncle was B.S. Pulley.
Yeah.
I think I told you that story where B.S. Pulley would bring him to shows and everything like that when he was like 3 years old.
Yeah.
And then he had him yell out from the audience, my uncle B.S. Pulley. My uncle B.S. Pulley. So, and I still have not watched Guys and Dolls, and I know you have, but I have never watched it. But it seemed like I watched it, a couple of minutes of it, and it seemed fun.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Especially
with the Sinatra and Brando factor. Yeah.
And also, B.S. Pulley's in it, but I don't know who he is. He's one of the gangsters.
Yeah.
You know who he is, though. He used
Only
to
vaguely, yeah.
Because he's also referenced in Broadway Danny Rose. He's referenced.
Yeah.
At the wedding where they go, with this comic, he puts his penis in a box and he goes, he goes, have you heard this B.S. Pulley? He goes, yeah, great comic. That's what Woody Allen says, great comic. Well, he puts his penis in a box and thing. He goes, if you ask me, Mr. Myron Cohn, that's comedy, because that was the Broadway Danny Rose character. Oh, God. I should never do a thing like I did that once for Modern Romance, but I'm not good at describing things. I'm not a storyteller. You said that to me many years ago. You don't see the stories coming from me.
No, that's not your natural vibe.
Well, especially because
I don't think I ever said you're not a storyteller, but
no,
I might have said you're telling the story terribly or something like
which
that.
Which is just an
observation. Extrapolated, yes.
I guess maybe because I started everything with Once Upon a Time.
No, that would actually help, probably.
Why is Tarantino so upset, though? Tarantino apparently, he curses a lot.
Yeah.
Tarantino. He's not upset, but he is bullshit. The movies are over. It's goddamn over. Yeah. It's over for the movies. It's over.
Yeah.
It's over. You can't even do them, and it's over. You're watching it on TV, and what the fuck is the point?
Right.
And it's garbage. Yeah. And then Martin Scorsese is saying, well, I have been able to work in this format, and I seem to be able to enjoy myself. So I think Quentin Tarantino is, why would he be angry at all? I think he's one of not the luckiest guys in the world, but he's had a fantastic career.
He has.
But he's not happy. But look at me. I've had a fantastic career too. And I'm often, bitter.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was just thinking about that scene though, in the Fiddling Horse. It's a great scene with that guy who's bragging to you. Yeah. About who is that guy?
David Hayden Jones.
He was fantastic.
Yes,
and you two were fantastic.
That was the role I was originally going to play. Was his role?
Wow!
Before I became the quote unquote lead,
he was so great. He was like, I wrote that, and you went, yes, I know you wrote that. What was the joke? I forgot the actual joke.
I don't remember. It was 5 years ago for me.
You see how he closed with? It was like an old stock joke. Do you see how he closed with?
I was just yeah, that's great. Yeah.
And also who was good was someone's father, Mallory's father maybe. He was the guy running for office.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did good.
There were a couple of people.
Yeah.
Stepfather, and there was a couple of people like that who were, her mother was great in the movie.
I don't remember.
Her mother, but... Okay.
Oh, yeah, she was at the table with the ladies.
Yeah. And there was another actress at that table, too. I was also someone, but I don't know who it was. You know, if you look up in that movie...
Allie Mills.
Well, that's true, but there was one more... That's true. Susan was like, what's the deal here? If you look it up, if you try to find it online... and they say who it's starring, of course it's not saying my name's nowhere and your name is nowhere there.
Right.
It's people you may have heard of in other. It's with Allie Mills,
right.
David Hayden Jones, and Colt. What's his real name? Colt.
I can't remember.
Who was also fantastic.
Yeah.
That guy, Colt Reynolds, whatever his real name is. The guy from the Pac-Man movie.
I just remember when we
Kong.
almost got shot by a stable manager that day when we were shooting that scene with Colt Reynolds.
What happened? I forgot.
Remember, we had shot out the stables we were working at already. We had taken everything, so we went to like a high-end racehorse stable, like a couple miles away. That we got permission from the owner, but we didn't get permission from the actual manager of the thing. So we go in and we start shooting our shot, and the guy comes almost like with a feeling like he had a shotgun with it. Like, what are you fucking doing here? You know, it was like really like.
I wonder if these types of things often happen on C.J. Wallace production.
I think so.
He told me he was going to buy a lake for me.
But it was pretty funny because he called the guy and they had used that stable for. What was that horse racing?
Seabiscuit.
Seabiscuit, yes. They had used that stable to shoot a scene in Seabiscuit, apparently. So CJ calls him up and like, guys go, well, we got 50,000 for Seabiscuit. And he's like, well, CJ's like, well, I have nothing. And the guy's like, all right, come on over.
Wow. I wouldn't trade that experience for anything, man. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. That experience.
It wasn't easy, but it was so much. It was so much my style of making things, which is get the smallest amount of people possible, and just do it. Which is not, a union friendly approach, but it's like a creative person approach that I love. And I think part of that comes from just my earliest experiences with Mystery Science Theater and realizing you could make a TV show with 7 people.
Right.
And then getting to Hollywood and being on a talk show where there was like 125 people on staff.
Right.
It's just 2 people talking mostly. So I had to learn about that. But the CJ thing is, like I said, it's very much my vibe of.
And he does many things very well. I mean, he obviously has an eye. He does it. And I even like the script. Like I could never figure out the movie completely.
Yeah.
But the script has there's something in that script that is hilarious to me. But it's really, if the whole thing was like Tin Men, maybe that would be maybe a better thing, because that opening thing is so great. How'd you get here tonight? I flew. You owned your own plane?
I'm just very glad that you think that was effective in any way. That scene.
It was great. And the thing is, it's also effective when you haven't watched it for a couple of years. And I remembered the story of you coming in on the first, because you went there before me, right?
Yeah. I did like 3 or 4 days, I think.
I'll never forget the procedure, the thousands of people that he auditioned before he decided on you for the lead.
Right.
My part was supposed to be, who would I think would be who he would want instead of me? Dennis Leary, maybe.
That's right.
Oh, boy. When I talk about my experiences in the film business, it stops there. That's the only one.
Yeah.
Because these actors have great stories about.
I had my scene with Justin Timberlake. That was the only other thing I ever.
Did I know this?
I'm sure it was in Bad Teacher, where I played in the band.
Oh, I never saw that movie.
Well,
is it a good movie?
It's okay.
Yeah. All right. What's my problem? So that you still get paid for that? I mean, you got paid for that.
I did. I got paid as a musician rather than an actor, however.
Aha. Well, the music union is great.
No, I've made about $20,000 off that little day.
You know what's amazing is I think I've told you the Jerry Bednob story, which is, I don't believe his real name because he's from India. Jerry Bednob. He was on the set of that movie where Judd had a stereo store in it, or
40-Year-Old Virgin.
his first check was $100,000 because he was there. He was showing me the check because he was there he was there for the entire run.
Yeah.
And so he got the most money in his life from that movie.
Fantastic.
I don't know where he is now, but he used to complain. He was a weird guy. But I mean, he's a nice guy. He was a nice guy. He was a weird guy. Yeah. But he would be very upset. He used to get very upset at people who stole material, rightfully so. And there was a couple of people that definitely stole material. He was like, I can't believe. But meanwhile, he was doing, knocking his head into the microphone saying he lost his dot. It knocked off his dot. No, I'm not saying he didn't do that originally. But you would think someone being that upset would be like some incredible original comedian would be.
Well, but people say the same about you.
That hurt, but I'm not exactly sure why. But I'm sure I'll feel it later.
After every State of the Industry address, people said that.
But there are people, I will say, who are very interesting musicians. I mean, like I wouldn't necessarily go out to a Chapel Roan concert, but I was interested in some of these performances of music that I would never, kind of like Lady Gaga-ish music.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying, and I love Lady Gaga too.
Pop music.
It's pop music. I understand, and but like some of it I love, like Shabuzi. I don't know if you know Shabuzi. I love Shabuzi.
Do. Sure.
Yeah, so Shabuzi I love, and some of the music. I don't tell me. Look,
I'm sorry. It's just the phrase Shabuzi I love.
Shabuzi I love. One. I think it was Chapel Roan who said. I wish the record labels would take care of us earlier in our career and medical and all. It was really good what she said. Because, at the end of the day, the Grammys, the people who make up the Grammy, the original people making up the Grammys were the same record people, I think, right? Record producers or just the record labels or something. And so they were horrible. It was a horrible award show for many, 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 many years. It was just the worst of the award shows. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I don't know if I agree, but
you don't think? I think the Grammys have always been something that nobody ever paid attention to. Musicians never paid attention to it. It was a joke amongst musicians.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it was. I'm not saying it was the most important, prestigious award, but in terms of award shows, at least it's always been filled with performances.
No, the shows are great. Yes. I'm talking about the music business. Because they got in trouble a few years ago for rigging things. It's like the music business, what Chapel Roan is saying is the opposite of the philosophy of the music business. Is not like, we got to take care of these new people and make sure they're okay. Right. They're more like the guy who stole all the songs.
And the music business is, how are we supposed to cover? You got Benson Boone doing backflips up there. So we're supposed to cover that?
How did you get his name right?
Just because I knew who you were talking about.
The Grateful Dead was. I'm trying to think if there's any other great performances. Oh, the opening performance was good because I'm a fan of Dawes. Do you know Dawes?
I know Dawes mostly from watching the L.A. Fire concert.
Right. I've been a fan. Here's me. Now, Josh, I was a fan of them before that. Who cares? But I've been a fan of them for a few years, and I love them because they're a local L.A. band. They lost everything. They lost their homes and everything. And they opened up the concert with the Randy Newman song.
I love L.A.
And it's so funny to me because in the context of that song, obviously, Randy Newman is using the word bum in the way that they're celebrating he's sarcastically celebrating LA. The guy who's singing the song has a big nasty redhead by his side. Yeah, no, right?
It's a clueless narrator. Yeah.
Right. And look at that bum down in the seats. Now,
and they changed that lyric, didn't they?
They changed that, which was fine, which I think was fine because it's not like against the original song. And I wonder if, okay, first of all, I don't know if, and this could be such a ridiculous discussion I don't want to get into, but I don't know if Randy Newman would even write Rednecks today, but the fact that end, but the other side of it is that song does celebrate LA. It does make you excited about
absolutely.
LA, even though it's sarcastic.
Yes. No, absolutely. Well, and part of that is just because the the Lakers for decades, and the Dodgers more recently have adopted it as their victory song. So it always has a positive connotation if you live in LA anyway. But yeah, no, I mean, like so much of like Randy Newman stuff, like he's clearly a patriotic American who criticizes America the same way he's an LA lover who can criticize LA, you know.
Although I don't know, he's harder on this country. I mean, rightfully so, with slavery and everything like that. I don't get what you're saying. I think I misunderstood. Are you saying that I'm
saying he loves America despite its crimes.
Right, that's right.
And I think it's the same thing with I Love LA. It's like,
right, despite
its flaws.
Well, even though
the I Love LA part isn't ironic.
No. And even like he's like one of the most interesting songwriters to me, because as a songwriter, I never wrote anything other than the first person. I didn't realize, I wasn't even aware you could, or wasn't aware that even people in songs were doing. When I was little, I thought, what happened with the Norwegian wood? You know, like, I'm sure there's realness. He did wake up in the morning, but I didn't understand until I was older that the person is the lead of the movie or the lead of the song is not supposed to be God's, what's it called? The God voice, or
omnipotent.
The omnipotent voice. So, I don't know what my point was there.
Randy Newman writing in characters versus first person.
But then when you hear the song Marie, it's a beautiful song. It is,
but it's still an irresponsible drunk singing it.
Yeah, but it's like, but it is both.
Right.
It's both, because absolutely.
No, yeah. And I mean, and the tragedy is of this man who has to get drunk in order to say his feelings, essentially.
Right, because the thing is, what he does is he makes you love the music and the environment of these songs. Yeah. And it's so deceptive, you know, like Birmingham. All these songs are so deceptive.
Well, I mean,
not deceptive, but like, levels.
Yes. They are, they require listening.
And he's not making fun of the music part of it. He's really celebrating the beauty of that song. But he does that on 12 songs too. Like, some of those songs are first person, you know?
Yeah.
It's So Hard Living Without You. That's like
But, you know, the thing that makes it is, as we've talked about with so many other things of comedy especially, is just, you know, commitment. You know, if you made it a dum kind of song, it loses all of its ironic value, you know.
I'm a redneck. I'm good. But even in that song, Rednecks, he does make the point that in the North is also racism. He makes within the song.
Yes.
He
calls out the hypocrisy.
He calls out the hypocrisy.
Yes.
Yeah.
He both-sided it.
For the right reasons.
Absolutely, for the right reasons.
Now, why would I argue with that?
And they put, you know, and it was in the context of this redneck who was mad on behalf of Lester Maddox.
Yeah, he saw him on TV. Was that Dick Cavett, you think?
He was the smart-ass New York Jew, which was also funny because Dick Cavett couldn't be more waspy, but it was still the redneck. He was from New York, so therefore it was a Jew.
New York Jew. The Jew laughed at Lester Maddox, and the audience laughed at Lester Maddox too. Right. Oh man! You know, if you want more on this, please tune into the Wheel of the Wheel of Randy.
Right. As opposed to the very long biography by I am never
gonna get the book on that.
No.
What if I got the audiobook? Would I like that? Maybe.
Well, I mean, I don't think anyone thought you were going to buy a paper book.
Well, but the thing is, when I was younger, I inhaled all of the. I read everything about Bob Dylan because I was obsessed with him. But now it doesn't seem to me like I'm not so sure I want a biography of someone who I've loved my whole life.
There's nothing in it that will dissuade you from loving him.
Right.
In a way, that's kind of the problem with the book, is there's just very little critical going on at all.
It's hagiography?
It's close to hagiography.
I still haven't seen the Paul Simon one. I wonder why I haven't seen it yet, but I will see it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't want him to. I think it's because I'm so tied to him emotionally. I don't want him to die. Yeah, it reminds me.
He's gonna.
No. But I mean, I would like to die first. That's all I'm saying. Really? Jesus Christ. I'm just making a request.
It's not exactly a long shot, but okay.
Diana Ross was there. I keep thinking that people who I'm familiar with are 40 years older than me. But no, they're mostly my age, except the Beatles were 10 years. A lot of people musically, obviously, were 10 years older or 20 years older than me. So they are. I can say probably not Phil Collins, but I know that John Lennon was born in 1940, so I know that he would be 80. And so I know that these 85. Guys are 85 now. So they are, that's almost 20 years? 56? He was born when? 16 years.
Yeah.
Difference. But I keep thinking.
Like I always think, for me, it's easy in terms of, because like it's like Beatles, Stones, Dylan, all my parents' age.
Wow.
And then the 70s rock stars are all like in their mid 70s now.
Right. So there is 70s and so Diana Ross should be in her 80s.
She's probably in her 80s, yeah.
She looks fantastic.
Supreme don't crack.
It's interesting to me that a lot of what I talk about in this show are things that other people have dealt with at earlier ages. You know, everybody's my age. Everybody's not my age.
I've had a very weird. Today is my stepson's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, yeah,
Elon! And it's been hard for me because I'm 53, as we've covered. My stepson's 39.
Oh my
it's
goodness
very
gracious.
Fucking weird.
Yes.
I met him when he was 8.
Wow. That does well, we're not the first people. Well, I'm much older than you, but we're not the first people to get old and go, well, you're not old yet. Then go, hey, what happened? What the hell happened?
No, but it becomes a constant almost.
Yes. In terms of when you age?
Well, just in terms of like how many times a week do I go, oh shit, that was 40 years ago. Oh shit, that was 30, you know.
Yes. The question to me is, because I'm always interested in the spiritual side, I don't want to be 90 years old if I am 90, or I don't want to be 80 years old. My image is I'll be walking around, get up in the morning, today's the day. Am I right? Am I right? Is today the day? Like you won't have any quality of life. But I don't think that's true. I think that's a projection of me seeing how other people live their lives.
It's a possible future, but it's not a destiny. It's not a destiny, you know. It's like
right.
The fact that you walk and keep moving will make your life better. You know, those
exactly.
are bankable
right.
hours, I think.
When I think of my grandfather at 70, I mean, he was so old.
I know.
And that's generational too, right? Because health things?
Well, it's also L.A. People don't age in L.A. like they do in the rest of the country.
That's very funny.
It's just true.
It's just true.
Yeah. But I'm as old as my dad ever got, and he seemed older than I am now. But that's, you know, I could just be wrong about that too. But,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah, of course. Oh, by the way, Trevor Noah, I think is good in this format where he's hosting a show like this because I don't find him that funny really, but he's.
I watched a couple. I saw a couple moments of him, and he's certainly very casual and comfortable.
Yes, and he knows people are walking around talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, I didn't watch a lot of it.
And I don't know if with the original language he spoke, maybe he's funnier. Do people from South Africa sound like Australians? They sound more Australian than they sound
British,
English.
Yeah,
British, yeah.
There's a lot of Dutch in there. There's
a lot of racism.
Sure.
The Boers. Can you believe that Reagan was walking around saying how wonderful these people were in South Africa? He was one of the last. He was pro South Africa. I'm beginning to think this Reagan was a little bit off.
Yeah, I'd take a little bit off over what we got now.
I know. I know. So there's the thing. Not to depress people. I don't want to depress you, but it does seem to be accelerating, like the hideousness.
Yeah, well, that's the intention behind it is to flood the zone. So as they say.
And some people seem to believe, like a friend of mine who obviously didn't want him to be elected, my friend Tom Clyde, but didn't get upset that he was elected because he thought this guy's going to fuck himself over. This time it's not going to be the same. Well, I don't know what his argument is. It's just like it's going to be funny in a way. It's going to be funny unless we get killed.
Well, I mean, there's certainly a part of me that is like the only way out of this is through the ashes.
Right.
That's kind of.
You mean when them dying? You mean, or
no? I just mean this country. I just mean it has to be fucking drastic enough for people to go, fuck this guy. Like it doesn't happen any other way from where I can see it. So there is a certain kind of burn baby burn in me that
right. Let them crash and burn.
Yeah, and it's not healthy. It's not, because of the amount of people that will be hurt in that crashing and burning. But it's also like I don't see another way out besides him just making catastrophic mistakes that people rebel against.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, if you know anybody who had trans kids and everything, you would never have been upset.
I do know people who have trans kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. And I'd be the last thing I would have ever said to them. What are you telling me about your kid? Your kid wants to do this. What do you do?
Right.
As a human being, I would never. As a progressive human being, I couldn't care less. I mean, how people identify,
right.
And I think that the right wing was using that in a horrible way. But I think that might run out. I think the tide might turn on the Chappelle. I think people will come to the defense of trans people is what I'm saying, but I just could be a naive, hopeful guy.
Well, it's hard to know. I mean, it's like because our instincts have been so wrong about people so many times now in the last 10 years, it's, there's just no way to, there's all sorts of hopeful things that can happen, but there's also all sorts of catastrophic things that can happen. And I can't give odds for either side at this point, personally. Right. And I'm not watching all of these other, I'm not watching the right-wing information sphere to know what they're getting from all this.
Right.
And I can't. It's just like, it's not an option for me.
It's not something you
But
want
I have to admit that I have no idea what the country thinks based on the information sources I go to.
But also people like, I think, Jon Stewart, who have been exposed through this whole process, that he's not the savior of America, that he wasn't.
Well, I mean, he's been exposed as unimportant, really.
Yeah.
That's it, as far as I'm concerned.
Right. But just that because I think people thought that he was that he was progressive. I don't know if he was ever progressive. You know what I mean? If he's telling his people at his work that they can't organize, I mean, how progressive is that?
No, I agree.
So it's like you watching this. I remember watching Colbert too.
He was
watching
performatively progressive,
right? Exactly. But I'm about the same height as Jon Stewart, and I think there's problems with people. I think it's like a Napoleon. Who's the guy? It's like a Napoleon complex.
Napoleon Dynamite.
And I think that I absolutely know that being short has caused me trouble in my life. I felt like, but I've never had the fundamental thing like I never have thought about me as being like defective or something from being short.
Right.
And so people didn't make fun of me for my height so much or something.
Well,
so I don't know.
I don't think you can peg it all on height with Jon Stewart either.
No, I don't think you can do it probably with anybody. Right. No, but I think he did have a horrible relationship with his father. And just that he's like, what is his thing with like, he does great things on behalf of the 9/11 people, right? Uh-huh. So it's not just that he does great things, but when he's doing the great things, he comes off like,
look at me doing a great thing.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Well, and there's, again, I'm just trying to inject nuance into this. There's a certain aspect that if you're going to use your fame for a platform, you have to do
God.
that.
Good. I'm glad he did. He probably did because he resonated with it. He wouldn't have wanted his own family to have that kind of thing.
As always, I don't think he's all good or all bad.
Well, I think that's you would think that after all these years of the show that I would be more comfortable with nuance. Well, I am more comfortable with nuance. I understand it.
Yeah.
But I still have still my first thought theater is judgmental in my family.
Right.
It's just like unbelievable. It's like it's so ingrained in me. Like I always told you, I kind of like Jesse. I kind of like Jesse Jackson. You like Jesse Jackson? Right. He put his hands in Martin Luther King's book. I mean, how does my dad and my get so angry about? I think my dad did not like hypocrisy, and I think he didn't really like JFK, and there were things not to like about him.
Right.
So, but he didn't convey in me any kind of magic at all. These people. Except for comedians and things like that. But anybody on the political, he was just very, very skeptical and very cynical is the word. Right. Right.
My father had a weird, I mean, obviously we've talked about this. I mean, nuance is what got pounded into me more than, than rage and reactionaryism because, that was my dad. He didn't believe in, he was never railing against unfairness because he didn't believe in it,
Right.
And yet when he was being a lawyer, he was always in pursuit of fairness. Like that was, but that was, to him, that was the way you can get it.
Yes. But he wasn't underneath.
But he didn't believe that fair, like I've said, I don't believe that fairness is like a force, is a natural force in the universe. There isn't, fairness is a creation of man,
Right, and also that's my family. I had to learn that from therapy and everything. If this outrage is it's a kind of a privileged outrage when you're white, and then and then your teacher yells at you, what, this shall not stand. You know what I mean? Right. So I think a lot of people, I think I really did invest too much of myself in the political stuff, but it's easy for me to say that now when the country's falling apart because it's like. I can say it's always been horrible, so don't get so upset. So it's like there's two things to it. I am looking around for other countries, and I'm trying to also not get enraged.
Right. Well, and just to amend what I was saying about my sort of burn baby burn attitude is it's not it's not like it's like I want to sit back and watch it happen. Like I believe you have to fight along the way. But in my gut, I feel like the only way this turns around is, like so many unhealthy things, you have to hit bottom first.
Yeah, well, I think I think you're right. I think you're right. Now, whether our country will survive hitting bottom is something else. I'll see you soon. Are you leaving?
No, not yet.
Okay, that's Susan. She's going somewhere.
I hoped it was.
Oh, it's not Susan. Well, who are you? What are you doing here?
All right. Well, let me close with just a nice letter I got this morning.
Okay, good. You have a letter to close with? I think that's fantastic.
It's an email, not a letter, really.
Oh.
Still.
I think I did assume that.
Just to give us a sense of purpose.
Yes.
Jeff Snyder says the subject is funny when nothing's funny. He says, Dear Josh and Andy, I think there's more of us sensitive humanists spiraling nowadays. The news is scary, the analysis is apocalyptic, and not paying attention feels dissociative. TS is an oasis from the oases because the show lives in a world without pretending to make sense of it. It's just expressing the anxiety so many of us feel right now. Thank you for the funny. Keep spiraling. Sincerely,
that is, thank you. First of all, thank you, Jeff. I know I always get like crazy with compliments, but that's a great, he's absolutely, I mean, if you want to look at us that way and you're feeling positive about it, that's a great way to describe it.
Yes, and I appreciate the permission to not be able to figure it out.
Right. I mean, yes. Yeah, that's well, I think that's the thing that I've had to like right now, I'm very happy that we're between elections because now I have to say vote for Kamala Harris even though I don't agree with their Israeli policy. And now we're kind of like I don't have to it's like a clean start in a way.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that really means.
I don't really either, but you have till Friday to figure it out.
Gonna take a little break. Gonna take a little break now. Gonna take a little break. Gonna take a little break now. Gonna take a little break.
Please stop talking for a moment.
Take a little break now. Gonna take a little break.
Please stop talking.
Gonna take a little break.
If it's in your power,
Break now. Gonna take a little break.
just stop talking
Gonna take a little break.
for a minute
Gonna take a little break now. Gonna take a little break.
so I can stomach another hour.
Take a little break now. Gonna take a little break.
Hey,
Good morning.
hey. Oh, I need to upgrade to Mac Sequoia. Can you hold, please? Are you going to do it?
No, never.
Never. That's right, man.
I'm still on the Mac Sapling.
Isn't that how they get you? That's how they get you. They want you to constantly update.
Uh-huh.
That's how they get inside.
Uh-huh.
Oh no!
Oh,
now
please.
it started. Now it started.
Sounds
it's
like
Hakeem. Wait, shh. It's Hakeem Jeff. Shh. Hakeem Jeffries is calling me.
I thought
Quiet.
I thought that was the sound of you having an idea.
Oh, did you ever see this in the old movies? Probably saw it 40 times. An idea. What is it? That's what we need. An idea. Now maybe I've only seen those because I saw every Abbott and Costello a million times. Or whatever. You never even heard that one, right?
Well,
An
no,
idea.
because I don't think you did it anywhere near what the joke would be.
And then the other thing I loved was when Dick Van Dyke would talk to himself. But that doesn't explain why I'm talking to me. Well, it doesn't explain why I'm talking to myself.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was the most hilarious goddamn stuff you could ever have. I was 5.
Early meta, tickling Andy.
You mean early Zuckerberg?
Yes, that's what I meant, asshole.
So I had an experience that I thought not that you'd relate to, but what I consider peak Kindler.
Ah,
I'm eating my yogi with the almonds, sliced almonds.
you have a nickname for yogurt?
Oh, I hope not.
I'm eating my yogi.
I do call it my yogi. It's my yogi. So I'm having yogurt with the almonds, and all of a sudden I hit something hard. Ah!
Like an almond?
Yeah, but they're supposed to be sliced almonds, right? So I hit something hard, and oh my God, I pull it out, and it's it's like a half of an almond, large almond that never got sliced up. So here's what I say. I think I could probably eat that. What the fuck is wrong with me? Why would I eat that? Well, I think I could eat that. It's still going to kill. It wasn't, in other words, like, okay, another anecdote that went nowhere. I thought I would kill with that one.
Well, I think we're all sitting here going, I bet he could eat that half an almond.
No, but it's like so hard. It felt like I hit a rock.
Yeah, because you weren't expecting it, though. I don't know that it was actually rock-like.
Right. So I still have it if you want me to try it.
Yeah, I actually would.
No, come on, Josh. What if something happened to me and you had to visit me in the hospital before my time? Do you know that you're my medical proxy? Allison is Susan's medical proxy.
Ah, that's good.
And you're my medical proxy.
Keep the ladies' issues in the house.
Right, and I put special things. Don't let him do that. You're standing on my air pipe. What is it? You're standing on my air hose. Right. Yeah. Don't let him do any bits like that. That's in my medical proxy.
If he says you're standing on my air hose, don't move.
I did a gig last night, Cookie Face.
How'd it go? I don't have.
I had my yogi there. I brought my yogi.
Did you bring some yogi?
Do you think that Yogi Bear was bad for bears because they talked about that they were not that smart? Okay, now here, go ahead. So I went to
I was today years old when I learned it was short for yogurt bear.
Well, you know what it was really short for, right? Oh, I'm not telling you. Here's another one of my Beatles stories. It's another one of my Beatles stories. They named him after Yogi Berra, and Yogi Berra almost sued them.
That is entirely a Beatles story. Of course they named him after Yogi Berra.
Well, who they named Yoo-Hoo after? Yoo-Hoo. That's not a bad name for a drink now. I guess if I was in 1873.
Yeah.
Yoo-Hoo. Oh, I turned that into a chocolate drink.
It's like chocolate mucus.
It's such a terrible drink. I did it, though. I never had the stuff that get your hands off my Ovaltine. Things that were really bad, right? Mapo. I don't want my Mapo. I don't know if that was after your time. But
after my time? No.
Yeah. Before your time, we could be. Yes. So I was at the Illusion Comedy Lounge last night in Santa Monica. And I had a good time. But it's like a thing. It's like a magic club, right?
Well,
that's the thing. Like saying, it's like every part of quote show business that we've been involved in is show business that looks like it's going to go out of business. And it's been this way since the 80s.
Right.
It's like okay, you're on 4th Street in Santa Monica, and it's a big it's a magic club now. How's that gonna? Couldn't be cheaper rent over there? It's 4th. And Santa Monica, literally 4th and Santa Monica. And
literally.
Yeah, I don't know why I said literally, but usually I say figuratively. But the thing that's so amazing about it is that the idea that it's always going to go away. I felt that when the comedy boom started. How long could it last, right? And so I just feel like there's nothing. We're not involved in a thing that has a 700-year tradition that goes back to the cave people.
Actually,
in other words,
we are.
I know, but you're going to say because of Shakespeare or something, or what are you going to tell me? Don't tell me things that make me look stupid, but what are you going to say?
Well, people standing in front of others entertaining them goes back a long fucking way. Let's just say that.
It does, but the actual, I'm going to make my money in this lifetime as a stand-up comic is not, it's not that, it
goes back to the 1860s.
Right. Okay, so so you're saying, what I should say is, I am an entertainer. No matter what form it takes, I will be at the ready to make my great living. No, I think that it's always you're hanging off of a cliff when you're in show business. I'm not saying I'm in show business.
That's show business. I don't know if that's
you're hanging off
I don't know
a cliff.
if that's stand-up exclusively.
I'm not trying. Well, I was part of the Comedians Caucus of the AFTRA organizational thing.
How'd that work out?
Good. We organized AFTRA, and then people like Justine Bateman called us a scumbag union. I don't hold it against her. People go, I can't believe Justine Bateman turned this way. She called me a scumbag union in 2012. Where were you then?
She called me a scumbag union?
Well, I took it personally because I was organizing for AFTRA in cable, and they were lying about us, saying that they're willing to work for nothing in cable. Meanwhile, they did want to have nothing to do with stand-up comics, SAG. Zero. Go over there where the announcers are, you asshole. Right. So we were negotiating in areas that had never had deals before. Hence the reason for the merger. Don't get me upset. Don't get me upset about it. But anyway, so it was a good show. It wasn't a bad show, though.
That's really
I know. We got back there. But it's weird to me because I've been coming to that area. When you age, and as rapidly as I have, you really don't think you're 68. I just don't think of myself as 68. And then Susan said the other day, she goes, everyone's getting so old. I said, they are not. What was that argument? We're getting so old. We are not getting so old, I said to her.
Yeah.
But I've been going down to the promenade in some fashion or form since maybe the late 80s. The mid to late 80s when the promenade. I remember the promenade when it was just not a lot of shops.
Merely a walk. It was merely a walk.
It was just a walk. It was. I think they may have. Did they call it the promenade or did people just promenade on it? I don't know. But so when I think I've been coming there, it's not like I go, oh, this is an example of me being washed up. It's not that. It's just an example of how much things change, how much they stay the same. And I guess that's my only insight.
What a meaningless bunch of drivel you just said. What is your point?
My point is, you'd have to have been. I think you have to have lived.
Are you
here.
saying that it's changed since you were last there? Is that
no?
the upshot
I think
of this?
yes, it has changed a lot.
All right,
it has changed a lot, but some of the same things stay the same. You're playing in a struggling business. It's a business that. Okay, that's it. Go ahead. You go. I'm not reacting. I am not overcoming.
So the upshot is local one-nighters aren't that great is kind of the upshot. And they never have been. The point is, if you had moved out here in 1978, and if you were my age, perhaps you would be going through a similar thing. You are sitting around with a baseball cap like you're 12, and you're denying death. You're the one shouting, "We're not old!" at your wife.
Well, here's the thing. The other part of it is my youthful excitement. I always had a part of me that was like, oh, I like this idea of a promenade. This is going to be good. And then, of course, it always lives down to your expectations. You have a Restoration Hardware. You've got but I used to remember the promenade. Have you been to the promenade yet? All these, you you had the performers. Yeah. The performers, it would be, it would go, hey, how you doing? Here's you want to see me use a chainsaw to juggle? That type of thing. Yeah. It was exciting back then.
Sure.
Religious cults.
Square dance collars on every corner.
No, I thought I was in the heyday. I thought I was in the Riviera. I thought this was like, what a time to be alive. As the promenade, I had so much belief in the West Side as an area. You
really did.
I did, and whether it be Hermosa Beach, which I think is a legitimately beautiful place.
It's not really the West Side. That's more.
No.
That's
South
more
Bay.
The beach
South
communities.
Bay.
Yeah.
South Bay. Look, I don't think. I know where those areas are because I took a lot of acid. I went to Rancho Palos Verdes.
I've always had a strong aversion to the West Side, unlike you.
Wait, is that in the I Love LA song?
Well, from the West Side to the East Side, yeah.
Yes, that's right. But when they go to the West Side, I'm going, yes, great restaurants.
When they go from the South Bay to the Valley, I go, woohoo, Valley.
Okay, but you unless you're not a human being, you have not enjoyed in your life going along the Santa Monica when it goes to the ocean there and there's that beautiful walk.
I like the ocean.
No, the beautiful. I'm not even talking about the ocean. The thing that overlooks the ocean with all the beautiful trees and people are doing their Tai Chi.
The beach, we call that?
No, it's not. If you take Santa Monica all the way till it ends, that is not the beach. The beach, you have to go a little bit to get to the beach. God damn it.
The beachfront is what we're saying?
Oh, just shut up. You shut up. No, you shut up. I used to go to the Santa Monica Pier. Let's go into one of those stories.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, what is it like? What is it like being on your end of this podcast?
Mind-numbing.
All you have to do is an hour of faces. Completely. An hour of faces and
soul-sucking at times?
No, an hour of faces. That's right. Oh, you thought that would be something good to talk about?
No, but you presented
a million ways to show you. Apologies. Oh.
Now that God is done punishing you.
I just did a good smack at the end of that, too. It almost rang. It had a resonant water. I always revert to me being in the desert.
So how much time did you do at the show?
I did 20 minutes.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I'm definitely over the hump.
That's 4 jokes for you, right?
No, not really. And there were more jokes. But I'm over the hump of maybe these people, have they heard this before? These people they don't know who I am now.
Good.
Why am I worried about the past?
You shouldn't be.
So I'm back, but I still don't feel like I'm back that I want to perform 3 or 4 times a week. But maybe I don't, but I think eventually I have to get more than once a week.
Well, even once a week is pretty good if you actually keep a once a week pace.
That's true. I thought I could see myself backsliding. But I told you, Bruce pointed out that there's all this material that I've never done, that's never been on anything. I did it on a Montreal show, and they're not going to want to hear this material that they never heard before, about me being scared about Trump and all that stuff. It's back again, baby.
That's right.
It feels like 2017.
And nothing could betray Trump like recycling.
You know, I have been up and down with the thing of being frightened, and you wake up in the morning and the USAID. It's like anything horrendous could happen at any moment with this asshole. So, but I am somehow not allowing myself to spin out of control with it.
Yeah.
Because I really do believe that if I look back on my life, it's easy for me to say now, there's two things that are true. It's never been this bad, but it's been pretty awful before. When you had footage of Vietnamese people being murdered every night on the local news, it's hard to say that that was a worse time. Well, it seems like.
But I wasn't there for that, and so this is pretty horrible.
No, you're right. I'm not saying. I'm saying you're right, but I'm saying, well, my new thing is ignore him, Josh. That's what he wants.
I mean, I can't ignore what he's doing, but I literally can't watch him speak anymore.
That's good.
I literally mute the TV if he's on screen.
Yeah. You can't stand 2 or 3 words out of that.
No, so I mean, like at best, I have like just a sad hum in my life right now, and at worst, I have I get very distraught. But I've been my method, at least this week, has been go hang with friends, go hang with people who put energy into your life rather than rob you of it. And
I think that's good.
I've had literally, I think, 4 lunches and breakfasts in the last 5 days.
You are the man. You are the man. You are the man. And if he ever picked up a check, he's a bad person. I'm a better person. I'm making him out to be bad. Yes, I think that's a good philosophy. And also, then here's another thing I did. I gave $100 to Alex. I've been basically stopping all, please stop asking me for money. Please stop asking me money. But I gave $100 to AOC because I think, AOC to me is I like how she conducts herself. I like what she says. And, so I'm going to start backing people. It's not like I'm not going to vote for Adam Schiff or something like that, but I'm going to try and support people now that we're out of office. Support people who are more progressive, I think, in general.
Yeah.
But the thing I couldn't believe is like these people. I mean, I feel terrible for them. And on one level, they're Palestinian Americans, or they're in Michigan, and they can't believe it. They voted for Trump, and they can't believe it that he said we should invade Gaza. But
do you see them saying "I can't believe it," or do you just see, a bunch of lefties going, "These fucking people, we told them so"?
No. They're actually saying it. This is actually them saying.
Okay.
They're actually angry.
Good.
They're organized.
That's the only way this changes, is if everybody who got swung to Trump goes, "What the fuck did I do?"
Well, that's the thing. You think in your mind, you go, we know.
And they were, they didn't vote for Trump largely. They voted for Jill Stein a lot of the time, too.
They said that. They said, I didn't even know Jill Stein you could vote for Jill Stein. I thought that was it's an old joke you make about somebody.
Yeah.
Didn't she she's running again.
Yes.
And that's right. They did vote for her. Because
it was Genocide Joe.
I like the look on your face. Right? So the thing is, but you could have told them he loves Israel. What are you talking about? He loves Netanyahu. He's going to marry Netanyahu. He is not going to come in and solve the problem in Gaza. But months ago, when the Israel, certainly Israel didn't help with the Netanyahu government. No. I hate them like poison. I'm trying to do the thing with Jews Without Boundaries. Talk about that. It never gets a laugh. And I'll tell you why I don't think it gets a laugh. Because as soon as I say Jews without, I've even had to change the joke.
Yeah.
Jews Without Boundaries, that was Netanyahu's autobiography. You can't, there's an elephant in the room. I'm not saying it makes it funnier.
Right.
I'm just saying it's the elephant in the room.
Well, but it's sort of a play on Doctors Without Borders, but not close enough to be an actual play on Doctors Without Borders.
Right. But I think that I've been doing.
Also, people assume Jews have no boundaries to begin with.
Well, that's true. You're the one who said to make it Jews with no boundary. That was your suggestion.
I don't
for the
care.
joke.
I don't care.
No, of course you over. Yeah,
I didn't say take it on stage.
Of course, that's what you do when someone criticizes your punch-up work. I didn't even like that one. You went with that one? Okay, what are we talking about?
I don't know. I don't care anymore.
Oh, come on,
you turned on me. Why would I keep going?
I didn't turn on you. You know, I'll tell you what turning on you is. Later, I cut your phone lines. I sneak over. I wouldn't even know. These serial killers, they are so resourceful. They know where the power lines are. You know, where it's like, I can't organize anything. They do research. They draw out maps. I mean, the stick-to-itiveness.
So the only thing keeping you from being a serial killer is the lack of focus?
No, when you have OCD, you think that you already are a serial killer. I am a serial killer because someone could have accused me of it, and I could be arrested for it. So I am a serial killer, which is the name of my one-man show.
Yeah.
And it refers to my club work. Get it?
Confessions of a Serial Killer.
Oh, that's like that special. They wanted to call it Comics Who Kill. The one I bombed in Las Vegas more than I've ever bombed in my entire life.
Just to be meta.
All they literally did was, I've said this story a million times, they rerouted the people going to George Lopez into my show.
Right.
And they came up with lounge lizards. Because why are you going to say, the Comics Who Kill? They're saying this is a comic who kills?
Right.
And that's not the only reason why he died. But it would have been an unfortunate name had they not lost the footage, Josh. Can you believe that I had this happen in my life? Oh, Andy, we can't find the footage.
Yeah.
Really? It has nothing to do with the fact that I didn't get a laugh for an hour and a half? Oh, no, we liked it in the truck. We thought it was great. It just never got out of the truck.
Who didn't like it? Physics.
But can you believe in 1992 that they would come up with the excuse that they would think? I think that they know that I know that they're lying, but what am I going to do? Because it was a horrible
Well, they couldn't have done it earlier because TV was live back then.
Well, I'm trying to think of another example like that. Okay, that was it.
People failingly trying to let you down easy. You'd think there'd be a lot.
No. I mean, there's definitely other things that I'm glad. Like when I went on that story thing by that guy, I really cannot stand Ari. What is his name?
Shafir.
Yeah, I can't stand him. So I went on his. I
can't believe this is fucking happening show or whatever. Something
exactly.
Like that,
yeah. And so I think the guy at the Improv was where he wanted me to be on it. Ari Shafir didn't even want me to be on it, and they kept trying to have me make the story. This is what happened, and this is what I learned. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of comedy I do. Right? So it was a horrible experience, and I ended up getting paid, but not having to appear on the show.
Well, nice.
Which was good, I think.
That's a good way to make a living.
Well, it's not. I wouldn't think it's good on a consistent basis.
Right.
But it worked here. And Ari Shafir. There's so many comments when you go look what he's doing. It would be like Corolla, who went with that. I'll go with the anti-vax and the conspiracy things, and how there's just so many of these type of comics. I never thought there would be so many horrible comics, even though I used to joke about horrible comics.
Right.
I had this joke that I thought was a pretty good joke, and I'm going to use it more. I said in the 80s, you could headline your hook could be homophobia. So that got like a nice laugh, which I think is true. Like, how much homophobic stuff is back there?
I would say just instead of saying in the 80s, because that alienates people because it's literally 40 some years ago.
Right.
Just when I started.
Okay, I think you're right, except that the bit is about the comedy boom that they don't remember, and me talking about the comedy boom they don't remember.
If you're informing them about it, then that's
it's
okay.
Horrible comedies boom.
Yeah.
So, in general, I shouldn't lead with, I'm 68. How's everybody doing?
It's just like I said, if I'd rather you lead with yours, I'm 68, and then you can come from the context of, let me teach you something, you youngsters, something, you know?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Then it's a much better place to come from than, you guys remember? Oh, you don't? Because you weren't born?
Well, I am doing this bit about this shtick about I used to get mad that people didn't know who the reference is now. And it's like, now I'm mad at people who think that people who are 20 should know about, I don't know who I use specifically, but you don't know who
the Brady
Betty,
Bunch even or whatever.
The Brady Bunch. You don't know who Betty Grable was? No, I don't know. No, they don't need to know who Betty Grable was.
All right. Or the 1910 Fruit Gum Company.
Or Every Mother's Son. I used to love When the World Was Simpler, when there were only 7 bands in my little boy mind.
Yeah.
And then there was 72 men cell. Oh, that was the heyday of music. The San Francisco. There were so many horrible songs in the 60s, and I loved many of them. But except I never got into Winchester Cathedral or any of that.
I think Ride Captain Ride was 70s.
You're right. It was the 70s. Absolutely. It's when it's like when it really got bad. But in the but how about in the summertime? Doopy boo and the Mongo Ray and the boo 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 and the boo boo Mongo Jerry in the summertime. You go swimming, you go swim. That seems like the 60s to me, but it probably was the 70s.
I think it was the 60s, Mongo Jerry. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one.
And also the dirty when the Red Baron, the horrible Red Baron of Germany. They had a lot of songs like that. Julie, 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 do you love me?
Uh-huh.
Did you like the Red? What is that song? The Red Baron. It's Snoopy.
It's Snoopy and the Red Baron. Yeah, my friend Craig had that record when I was 5.
It was good,
and we listened to it because it was about Snoopy and the Red Baron.
Anything with Snoopy is, to me, a solid seller. You just know there's nothing you can't not love. I mean, unless you don't have a soul.
Yeah.
But he looks so fucking cute.
He even makes Grief look good.
He makes Grief look good. I like the way he. I've never seen a dog do this, but he like takes his paw and he pops the bowl up in the air and it lands on another part of his. I can't think of one body part for a dog now.
They have a lot of the same ones.
I wanted to ask you this because this was interesting. I was talking to a friend of mine, and what he was saying, I don't know how we got on the topic, but he was saying that he had a dog trainer once, and the dog trainer said, if you have a dog that, are you doing something else?
What? I couldn't have been more neutral staring at your face.
He glanced over to the side. So he said that if you have a dog that every time you go into the house is hyperactive and just won't stop and won't calm down, he said the best way to deal with that is to ignore the dog when you come into the house.
Right.
And so then the dog the dog itself does not associate you coming in the house with having to show affection. It sounded like it could work, but I was going to ask an actual dog owner if that would be something. Because I've never seen dogs not hop up and down when you go in the thing. But it does seem like people encourage it.
Well, it's funny because our dogs have always done it for Allison, but not for me for the most part. Like they'll do it when I come back from a trip.
Oh, yes. Okay.
But when I come in the door, it's very rare that it's an event for them. But I don't know if it's because Allison leaves less than me or if they feel this protectiveness for Allison, but they get very upset when Allison leaves and very excited when Allison comes home. And they do neither for me. But it's not like I don't feel like they like Allison more, but it's been true with all of our dogs that. But Allison also, makes a show for them.
Right. And you do all the hard work, don't you? Aren't you doing all the leg work?
All the hard work.
The food.
All of it.
You go thrive.
All.
Did you?
All
of it. But I just thought it was interesting. To me, it was interesting. I didn't know if it was true or we work, but it just seemed interesting to me that that the dogs getting hyper could be related to how people act around the dogs. But in your case, what you're saying is when someone highly unpleasant It's almost that they sense it, right?
Right.
Allison, warm, motherly, maternal.
Sure.
Uh-oh. Who's coming in now? Does that asshole still wear a baseball cap? That's my dog's talking.
I got that. Yeah.
Were you ever a Far Side guy? Because I used to love the Far Side. Is he dead?
I don't think he's dead, but he stopped making Far Side.
He stopped making Far Sides. He had some classic Far Sides.
There were some good ones.
I mean, I'm not. I see people are thinking, yes, that was the name of his thing, was Far Side. I know that he had the best of them, but there were many great Far Sides. That's what I meant to say. But I also like Fred Bassett.
Many a cubicle.
Can you imagine what happened to that guy? You're usually good to just tell me why somebody went some way. That guy who was Dilbert, all right? I never liked Dilbert, but I didn't dislike it. I went out for the Dilbert part when and he seemed nice. I did it over the phone with him. He seemed like a loving man. Why would he get fascistic? Why would he get bitter? Everyone loves him, and he's like, I can't take this anymore. I have to start hating black people.
Right.
He's like an overt racist, unlike Donald Trump, who's an overt racist.
Yes, and one would assume a certain level of anti-authoritarianism based on his office follies. But I don't know. I mean, there's like no class of people that ages worse than humorists. Not comedians, humorists.
But don't. Yeah, but don't forget, there's always a role for someone like Calvin Trillin, who actually is a humorist. But they don't call him a humorist.
Yeah, do you think his later work was his best?
Oh no, he's still doing good work. He still writes good stuff in New York. He's not on Johnny Carson anymore. No, but he writes funny stuff in New York. He's still capable. Don't tell me when I'm older I won't be able to write as my brilliant stuff. I don't lose.
Again, you're not a humorist.
Look, Judd. See, I mixed you up with Judd this time.
Well, at least you're airing me more successful now.
Wait, more successful than Zach?
Well, yeah, it's up the ladder, sure.
You really think you'd rather be?
I'd not rather be.
Say that.
I'm not rather be. I wouldn't rather be either of them.
Either one of them.
No.
Right? You're not a goofy
guy. I'm happy with my lot in life, except for the failure parts.
You really of the people I've known who seem to have a dark cloud over them all. You seem, of those people, and it's like doom and gloom with you. You're afraid to answer the phone. Of those people, you have a nicely upbeat, almost sardonic, and another word, don't know what it means. Mm-hmm. Can you please tell me what sardonic means?
No, I can't, because you wouldn't understand.
No, that's my daddy. You're doing my daddy now. Don't do my daddy to me. It's Rich Brotherson's birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Rob. Happy birthday, Rob.
And will you call him?
I don't know. Sometimes here's the thing. We have a thing in the family now, the LeWine clan. And it's just relatives. It's all people I know, but they always have to jump the gun. I get up here and happy birthday, Rob. I'm not even up yet. And they're one-upping me. I just can't hop on that existing thread and go, right, Robbie. Right. I have to make a show of it.
Make a fucking phone call.
I will I will do that.
Maybe send a little something for Captain Moneybags, who's been so good to you.
You're absolutely right. I have gotten into a tradition now of what I'm going to send him because he really does like this coffee. Mm. So the idea that the concept of you don't have to send him a present because he has everything. That is not what you should be thinking. He enjoys. No. That's not what you should be thinking. Especially if you want to keep the Rich Brotherton thing.
Yeah, exactly.
He is 71. No, he's 72. No, he's 71. I'm going to be 69 this year. He's 71. I just want to say something to you. If it's a few years from now.
Yeah, right.
A few years from now, when I'm in my 70s and I'm actually learning things that are at higher levels spiritually. Mm-hmm. This sounds terrible. Just ignore this. It's not my best work. What am I saying? I'll be more spiritual, and then I'll look down my nose at those who aren't. I think that's where I'm going with it.
Sounds like you.
Shouldn't you dissuade me of the notion that there will be a showbiz retirement home for me? Because that's what I'm starting to hone in on more. There'll be a lot of people I know there. Hey!
Might be time to start doing a little research. Rather than just assume it exists for you.
Well, in the old days, you can't. I don't think you can do this anymore. But there was a time period where everybody was getting long-term care insurance. Then they stopped offering it, unless you have. I bet you have it.
I don't.
You know what it is, though, right?
I do.
How about this? How about me rubbing like that?
That's nice.
Doing a little salute thing.
That's nice.
Come on, I'm fairly delightful today compared to other times.
Fairly delightful, yes.
Will you stop it? I am very.
It's a good Friday.
I'm going to go off pod with you, and I'm going to be like, I'm going to read you the riot act.
Read me the riot act.
Can you do Elvis? That would be a joke that you would do when someone was. If they did an impression, you go, "Can you do the Elvis?"
Right.
Hilarious, because it makes them not want to do anything else. Then.
True that.
True that. Don't make me lull. Don't make me lull you.
No, we're listening. We're not lulling. We're listening to the questions jingle right now. It's time for questions. What do you want to know? We love your questions so much. It's half our show. Half our show. John Dunbar says, if it wasn't already discussed, I would like to hear Josh's thoughts on the Luka trade. Andy, this has to do with the squeaky.
I know. Wait, here's the thing. I know that I will be forever forecast as someone who, A, hated the We Are the World documentary. Which I've never seen, which I do want to see, but at the time I couldn't hear one fucking word about it when we were in our big fight. And then the other thing is I hate basketball, which is not true. I love basketball. It's not my number one sport. I just want to say when they make the history of the show that I'm not as bad as it sounds like I was.
Yeah, but we're still putting the squeaky tirade into the best of reel.
Well, I think I do understand from what you said. So why don't you tell me what you said to me? Tell the person about why you think it didn't work out.
No, I did think it worked out.
No. But why Dallas sent him? Why Dallas?
Well, supposedly Dallas was about to have to give him a $350 million 5-year contract next year.
And how old is he?
25 years old.
Well, that's ridiculous. He should get that contract.
Of course he should. But. It's like a studio exec. A new GM comes in. It's not his guy.
Well, because Mark Cuban is in the background now.
Mark Cuban is not a decision maker any longer.
Which is a good job for him. He needs to be more of a positive.
But no. So I think they didn't want to spend that money on him because they didn't believe in his work ethic, which is sort of ridiculous because he's 25 years old and he's been an All-NBA 5 years in a row.
Is he huge or something?
No.
So we'll leave him alone.
Exactly.
So that was really for...
So Dallas came. They wanted Anthony Davis, who was the center for the Lakers.
Right.
And LeBron James is 40 years old, so he's not the future of the Lakers.
Right.
And the Lakers didn't have to give up that much for Luka. So it was really 100% no-brainer for the Lakers to say yes to this.
But what about losing Anthony Davis?
It's a bad loss, but it's a greater gain. Certainly for the next 10 years of the franchise.
So, I heard someone going, I don't know which side they were on. Now they have nothing but rebounders there. Are they talking about Dallas or were they talking about the Lakers?
Dallas, I think they were talking about.
Oh, he goes, the games will be 170 to 150, so they still have a powerful offense, Dallas?
It remains to be seen, but Dallas is a strong team. With or without Luka, they're a strong team now.
I heard people...
Anthony Davis is a great player. They got a great player back, but not a generational talent quite like Luka.
And he's also older, isn't he?
He is.
32?
Yes.
I made that up.
I think he's 31 going on 32.
So anyway, so this is all good, and here's what I think. The Dallas Mavericks are lying. Nobody got rid of Babe Ruth or Mickey Mantle because they partied. All right, even today, if he wants to have a nice time,
well, actually, the Boston Red Sox did get rid of Babe Ruth.
Yeah, but that was a mistake. They wanted to.
Exactly.
They put all their money into no net.
Correct.
So, in this day and age, I think they're using that as an excuse because they didn't want. In other words, and instead of saying we can't afford it or something like that, they want to give them a little shiv out the door.
No, they aren't saying they can't afford it. They're saying they don't want to.
Right, but they're saying like they're kind of giving bad. They're trying to feel bad. And that's not nice.
No, but on the bright side, because they were doing it all in secret, the Lakers were able to say, well, since we can't talk to him and see if he'll re-sign with us in a year, we get him cheaper. And
that's so great.
And that allowed them to then use their remaining assets to go get a very good center.
So does that mean that this year could you go the whole way this year?
Probably not this year, but they're built to.
Why are people whining that the Celtics are losing? Celtics fans. Oh, they're doing terribly this year.
I don't care. I hope they're very unhappy.
And they are doing terribly, right?
No, they're not.
Okay.
They're still very good.
I'm sorry. I apologize for this. But someone asked a question.
That's true.
I apologize for the sports stuff.
Warps Your Head says, Jew and Drew, what's your worst moment of buyer's remorse? Mine, I couldn't wait to try out new VR headset and then realize it gives me terrible motion sickness. I can't even have virtual fun. Wah!
I would say buyer's remorse, and you really can't put this in that category, was the Ford 1974 Country Squire station wagon. As bad as cars were at that time, I think I could have found a slightly better car to go cross country in than a Ford Country Squire station wagon that the woman sold me on. I hate to get rid of it. It's like a member of the family. Are you sure you'll take good care of it? All that crap.
But it was good to pack up with stuff.
It was, but the back window never worked. The back electric window. And that started the whole time of my life where I would say, well, I like things that I don't like these electric things. I like things where you use your hand.
I do have to ask, why didn't you ever get it fixed?
Because it was too expensive to get it fixed because I was always broke. And then I would have gotten it fixed, but it was, you know how you would go into like Amco and they would say, unbelievably as this may seem, you need a new transmission. So I did a lot of that kind of garbage.
Yeah.
We look at your tire, your alignment. What about it? What not about it?
The steering wheel, it's been turned.
So the fact that I was not a genius about cars and have even now, it did not help me.
Yeah.
But that's, I don't know if that's not a buyer. I think buyer's remorse is like something you were excited about getting that you then hated.
I think it can go either way. You can have, I don't think it has to be a crushing disappointment as long as you hated it enough to be your worst buyer's remorse.
Well, my sister's would have been when she bought the AMC Green Hornet. A Green Hornet, which was colored like it was like a takeoff on the show, Green Hornet. But it was a terrible car. And my father almost bought a fleet of, and he didn't do it. He almost bought a fleet of Chevy Vegas, but he didn't. He only bought one or two of them. But what was happening? What was it? Planned obsolescence?
He was going to get a fleet of Chevy Vegas to deliver plumbing supplies?
That was a mistake too. He needed. They had beautiful vans. That's what they should have. Which I was driving. Can you imagine me driving a van now or never?
No.
Oh no! How did I? And I couldn't understand why I had anxiety. Why am I so anxious about driving a van? Because there's no mirror. How about the fact there's no mirrors on them? So there were mirrors, but I never liked something where you couldn't see out the back.
Yeah.
Come on, rescue me from my insanity.
We have other questions.
Stop the insanity.
Nice. I don't know what my worst buyer's remorse is. It might be the 8-track I bought you.
Okay. I wanted to say something about the 8-track is that I do think that I can use it. But why is it that I still at the phase where I'm not ready to use it because I'm not back into music enough to use it? Right? Back into music. No. I was never in music. No. Go ahead.
No, but you were in a phase where you kept talking about how you were going to do that.
I did use it.
It totally it totally took that heat off, which was nice, which was my real intent, which is please stop talking about how you're going to buy an 8-track.
Was that worth it? I guess it was worth it.
It kind of was. It kind of was.
It was also nice. It was nice.
There's very little more grating to me in life than the false narrative, as you know. So
if I only had an 8-track, that's the difference between me and Paul McCartney. He had the 8-track.
Tweepahara says, nice to hear Andy's music in the bumper. I played in the USA last week of yours.
I like that one. And don't you think it's timely now?
So timely. That's why I played it.
Do you know that those lyrics are anti-United States?
I felt it a little bit, yeah. I felt the simmering protest.
Thank you. And I was more angry back then. It wasn't even Trump.
You weren't mixing those, were you? Someone else was.
Oh, yeah, somebody else. They were supposedly good at it. What was off?
Just that your vocals never get their due in your recordings.
I never get
their due in the mix. They're always a little buried in the mix. And
because that's probably my own insecurities, probably.
Maybe. I think what you needed to do is double your vocals. I think it was...
Yes.
I think that would have given you the signal strength to punch through.
I did on the Grudge song.
Did you? Okay.
I doubled
and
that.
That's better than in the USA, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, in the USA is a little weird. But a good guitar player. I love that guitar. I love that man. I have to get in touch with him.
So that's to finish Tweet's thing. He said, nice to hear Andy's music in the bumper. Only Andy can make a guitar sound like it's complaining.
I have to admit that I read this a couple of days ago, but it still makes me laugh.
Advice, between songs, cut the chatter. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you,
classic. Well, don't mock him for bringing up
Don't
the classic.
mock him for bringing it up. I'm Tweepahara.
Who introduced Rich Brotherton to you?
Just the name. I knew the guy. Bimington Weiner says, after 389 test shows, I finally got to see I Need You to Kill on Tubi. Josh, you're truly a master doc maker. The way you gradually revealed the character of the three comics was brilliant, and Lewis, what a sweetheart. So what's Segura like? Is he edgy? He seems edgy. You know who's edgy is Chad Daniels. Chad Daniels is actually edgy.
Like, in other words, he's a gruff guy, right? Like gruff and
he's a gruff, and he's got an edge. He's got an edge.
Yeah, he's funny too.
Super funny.
Spoken to him in a while.
No, it's a funny fucking edge. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
But Tom, as much as a huge part of his personality is loving poking people, loving enrage. He loves to enrage people, and always seems to have. He is a very sweet, honorable dude, and I really
when you're with him in real
like
life.
the guy a lot, and
that's cool.
I like the way he operates a great deal. I haven't stayed in touch with him that much over the last few years since he moved to Austin, so he might have changed with his vast wealth and all that. But as far as I'm concerned, he's a very good dude and a soulful guy.
And also, it was a great doc. That's the thing that reminds me.
Oh, and yes, thank you for the compliment. Yes, thank you.
Because I really think it holds up.
Does it?
I mean, I remember everything in it now. I still realize, just when they talked about that, I most remember almost everything in it.
That's good. I haven't watched it in many years now.
Well, it's a moneymaker for you. That's the thing. I'm surprised. Have you seen The Fiddling Horse starring Ali Mills?
Sethik III says, I saw a TikTok type deal where the young girl Vicky from Love Boat said that Tommy Smothers asked her to find a roll of quarters in his pocket. Do you think this kind of aberrant behavior stems from a lack of maternal love, at least versus Dickie?
Well, I like how a serious question gets all of a sudden.
The fell in a vat of chocolate bit is hilarious, though.
What is that bit?
I don't know.
Oh. Was he considered to be too handsy, Tommy?
Well, at least according to Jill Whelan.
Maybe he... Well, wait a second now. How does he know that he did not have a roll of quarters? See, sometimes that's happened to me many times.
Uh-huh.
I did have a roll of quarters.
Throughout your childhood.
Surely. With my uncle, Uncle Tanous. Who's Uncle Tanous?
From the Danny Thomas show.
Okay.
It was one of my dad's favorite references, was Uncle Tanous. Bowie Girl says, what's Frank Zappa's best work, and how does it relate to his great prescience about the future of media?
I can answer that one. I think the album Shake Your Booty which is Shake Your Booty or Shake Your Booty. He has amazing things. Well, not just there, but amazing things about the military-industrial complex. And the song "Dumb All Over" is one of my favorite songs. We're dumb all over, a little ugly on the side. So I think he was a very great. What do you call that? Not Randy Newman, but kind of in that, not the same boat even,
right.
But just great stuff. I thought it was great stuff. Freaks is great, and Joe's Garage is great, but I don't go to him all the time. I don't listen to him. I very rarely listen to him.
Yeah.
Because his voice, I love his voice, but his voice sounds like he's making fun of his voice. Well, we're there in Joe's Garage, and I like it.
Well, and it wasn't always him singing either.
Oh, no. Those guys who sang with him were great,
right.
too. But
there was a lot of Amos and Andy voices and things. And,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not hip enough to Zappa's catalog to go, this is the best. I listened to an album called around the time of the Tipper Gore thing. There was an album called Zappa Meets the Mothers of Prevention, which had a couple of songs on it that I really like a lot. And I had a roommate who used to listen to his album Jazz from Hell a lot.
Right. Well, I got to listen to that. I never listened to any of his where he plays a lot. See, I'm not that familiar with him. Is the real truth? Yeah. Except for the hits.
But I've kind of, while I do think he was a very sort of prescient cynic.
Yes.
I still have a real strong, what an asshole vibe with Zappa, and which he wasn't fighting against. He was an asshole. He was a proud asshole.
No, you're right. You're right. He was.
But I don't like. I just don't like his general posture in the world for the most part.
It seems like it's the dark side of me, with a little humor.
Yeah,
like he's still funny.
See, he just seems like a very selfish dude to me. Ultimately,
yeah.
Andrew Wycliffe says, hello. I was wondering if Andy has any memory of Tim Thomerson as a stand-up comic. Would have been early 80s. Thomerson went on to often genre action leads and TV character actor guest spots. Always been curious what his stand-up vibe was, not because Andy is old, but because he knows all.
Well, Tim Thomerson, Susan, when she first came to L.A., in like 1978, she went started not because she just happened to end up at the Comedy Store and just loved it. Right. She thought it was like the greatest thing.
And he was one of the main guys at the Comedy Store.
Yeah, so she says he was. Yeah. She says he was very funny, and of course he was. I've seen him do funny things with Letterman, so I know that he was a very funny comic. But I just don't know a ton about him. But exactly what that guy. Who's saying this? Who asked?
Andrew Wycliffe.
Yeah, Andrew. Exactly what you're saying is correct. It's the early '80s. And he was part of the Comedy Store scene, and very, very funny guy.
He actually, I would say his peak stand-up bigness was late 70s more than early 80s. He was. Oh, okay. He was on that show Quark in 1978, which was the Richard Quark, which was Richard Benjamin's show about a space garbage man.
I never. How did I not hear
Buck
that
Henry wrote. Wow. I loved it because I was like 8 years old and it was Star Wars era. So it was like a match, and it was comedy. So I was 100% on board for this shitty show. But Tim Thomerson played a sort of a half man, half woman creature on that show. Dan Wade says, hi guys. If Susan and Allison started a podcast, what would it be called?
Suzette, what living in hell, reports from a horrible life. With Susan and Allison, all the horrible things what it's like to be with two hideous people, each hideous in their own way.
Yeah.
Every Thursday.
AKA Divorce Spiral. All right, we're going to the gram now.
We're going to the gram, going to the gram. We got the woo.
No, we don't have the woo.
And it's going to be Delicious Mix says, I wonder if Andy is going to unblock me. I don't think he is, because he is actually a person who's mentally ill, and many mentally ill people do not unblock you. What'd you do? What did you do over there?
I think we got cleaning people arriving. We'll see.
Is Allison home?
She is. Nonetheless, I'm going to shut my door. 1 second. All right.
They don't clean your room, though, right? They don't clean that room.
They don't. I think that's pretty clear, isn't it? They're verboten.
I can't. That room just looks crowded. It doesn't look dirty. It just looks like there's.
It's not dirty. It's not dirty.
Many wonderful things.
I do occasionally dust and vacuum in here, but
yeah.
But it's cluttery. Oh, it's cluttery. You should see my mind.
Oh, I get it.
Perush says, Andy, you really thought you could beat Raj from first grade at a spelling bee?
We didn't even have a Raj back then. We had Italian. I had Italian kids and someone named Adolfo Casciro.
Yeah.
And I was like, what could he be? He was like, are you from Spain, sir? Where are you? I mean, I didn't know what that was going on. Adolfo Casciro is a great name.
Othered him throughout your scholastic career. But Buscati Jones says, I know
that name.
Is Elon Auschwitzig?
Yes, he is. He's also Mengele-like.
Mengelesque. Zeke Fossey. So I'm super excited about SNL 50. I think it'll be awesome to see all my favorite cast members throughout the years, and I really loved the music doc. The hosts really are a huge part of the success. Sadly, George Carlin and Buck Henry can't come back and say hello. I do hope two of the great SNL hosts from the last few years come on and make America laugh again. Don Trump and L. Musk.
I'll watch it too. I will watch it too, but I'm watching it with a jaded eye because the whole SNL 50s bothered me.
Yeah.
The whole celebration is like, all right.
I don't know. I think it's
going to be bad.
Well, no, it's 50 fucking years. It's 40. It's 40 that irks me.
I'll watch it though. I've watched everything.
I don't know if I'll watch it day and date, but I will tape it and flip through it.
It's live.
But I've seen, it's like there isn't a lot. Having viewed the show throughout my life,
right? I hope they do the Bassomatic.
There's not a lot of clips they can show me that are going to be revelatory at this point.
Maybe the audition tapes looked interesting to me.
Yeah, but
you've seen that before, right?
Yeah, well, there's that one of those docs is about auditioning. So.
Oh, okay. I'll have to watch that.
Daisy Petunia says, Andy, if you could have pudding with any celebrity, living or dead, who would it be and what flavor would you share?
I would have Jell-O pudding with Bill Cosby. I would set it up like, I'm such a fan of yours, and I also love pudding. Would you mind? And then right in the middle of the meal, I go, you fucking goddamn sex pest. Sex pest?
Sex pest? That really lightens the load.
You goddamn sexual assaulting guy. I would just
rapist.
Turn
just call him a rapist.
I'd turn the tables on him right in the middle of the meeting. I don't like pudding, though. I will tell you that I like chocolate mousse.
You know what?
But the old style pudding is terrible.
Get used to pudding. That's my tip for you.
Oh, I can't have Jell-O? I prefer Jell-O.
You can have
Not
both.
Really.
Oh, it'll be Jell-O for breakfast, pudding for lunch.
I'm going to shoot myself in the head if this happens instead of going to the home.
They might do malto meal for you. Daisy Petunia also comes back with Josh. If you had to create the ultimate pudding flavor, what would it be and what would you call it? The Cosby Killer.
There's no good pudding flavor.
I like pudding. I'm sorry, but I like pudding.
Apostrophe?
I like chocolate pudding. I like rice pudding.
I think Susan does too.
I like butterscotch pudding, to be honest.
Yeah, I like a budino.
I like a budino as well, but a simple pudding is what works for me as well.
All right, we'll have it. I'm not stopping.
Pistachio, not bad.
No, I'm saying you can have it. I'm not into it.
During the pandemic, I had a pudding phase because I was trying to put desserts on the table on a regular basis.
That's pretty good. It's like a pandemic is like, well, we're all sick. Let's get what we get when we're sick.
Exactly.
Pedialyte, did you any of that?
No, I didn't.
I have gotten that in my life.
I'm sure.
I can't talk about it.
I like drinking like a baby.
with my yogi.
Give me my yogi and my Pedialyte, and I'm a happy little boy. Unless there's a half an almond in it.
A hard almond.
Oh, it's so hard.
Hey guys, this is Dan Marsh. Hey guys, one of the long-running themes of the show is analyzing if Andy's dementia is kicking in. But Josh, it's been 8 years since the first episode. Are you seeing any signs in yourself that you might be getting a little, Andy-ish?
That's a terrible way of framing that question.
I haven't actually felt any. I haven't internally felt any mental decline yet.
Right,
or
it's obvious.
Decline.
Yeah, everybody else can see it.
Yeah, I'm 100% willing to cop that could be going on. I'm just saying, internally, it hasn't registered yet as being diminished yet.
That's the worst sign, is that he doesn't think he's.
It's very possible. Again, I'm leaving it open to any. See, I didn't finish that sentence right there. That could be the start.
Because you forgot.
Yes. Daniel Bird Doctor. Weird coincidence. You guys opened Monday's episode talking about the SNL biopic thing. I'd actually watched it the night before, and man, I have no reverence for that era or SNL in general, but even that aside, you expect something like this to stink in certain predictable ways, but this movie is bad in ways I don't even understand and I don't think I've seen before. I would love to hear what you think of this thing if you're up for tormenting yourselves for 100 minutes in front of the television and it's not the news. Anyways, have a great week. Cha-cha.
Yeah, this is a tough one because I've seen the upcoming things from it. I don't want to see someone who's not John Belushi being John Belushi. Is that that's that movie, right?
Yes. Yes.
It looks terrible. You have watched it, right?
I have not watched it.
Yeah.
I suspect I will watch it at some point out of the curiosity of what they tried to do.
Yeah.
But I'm not anxious to watch it. And
Lorne comes out.
It's not in my queue.
Right. And he comes out I think he's probably going to come out like a genius, like a scrappy, Lorne Michaels, scrappy genius.
We'll see. I might get the biography of him.
Is that out?
It's coming out in April, I think.
Okay. Is it positive?
I think it's journalistic.
Oh, I like that.
So we'll see. Delicious Mick, Andy's fave. Andrew Buzzword Kindler, you mentioned Michael Pollan. Wouldn't it be good fodder for the show if you listened to Pollan's appearance on Joe Rogan? I think I speak for everyone when I say I'd love to hear your review of an episode of JRE. You do not speak for anybody. You certainly don't speak for me when you say that. As I assume you've never listened to any before. Uncle Josh, as an avid consumer and producer of documentaries, I'd love to hear your review of any Adam Carolla's docs. Oh, and Andy, can you sign my copy of Catcher in the Pastrami on Rye? Peace and love, gefilte boys.
You see, here's the thing. I think that he wants us to say he's hilarious, is what I think it is.
Yeah.
He wants us to...
Who doesn't want that, though, really?
Yeah, but he's really lobbying for it.
Yeah.
With negative... And the things that he's saying doesn't make me want to open up more.
Well, better luck next week, Delicious Nick. At least he didn't say unfollow me.
Right. Unblock me. Yeah. Right.
You know, I've been getting a lot of solicitations for us to do ads recently.
Really?
Yes.
And what would it be like?
I don't know, but they want to hook us up with the, blah 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 blah. And look at this podcast; it did blah blah blah. But I still don't want to do ads.
You mean where I have to go? Josh, I do you know anything about renew about go back to your about website or something like that? Man, I didn't have the right example.
Right, but it's probably more like DraftKings.
No, I can't do that. No, I can't do DraftKings.
We're not doing ads, but mostly because I don't like ads. I don't like them in podcasts, and since we're never going to make real money on this podcast, why make it shitty and unprofitable?
Right. Why make it somewhere in the middle?
Right, exactly. But if you're with us on that, the way you can support us is go to buymeacoffee.com/thoughtspiral. And
that's right. And is that still active? Everyone's in
still
there, right?
active. Still
Come
people
on,
are still coming on board. And
if you
going off board.
Well, if you appreciate the kind of programming that we are bringing here, all we are asking is a fund drive. We're doing like a mini fund drive.
That's right.
Go to buy a coffee keep.
We put the fun in fund drive.
That's right. And now for the next 10 minutes, we will not be funny. We will just be soliciting money. Yes. So please go to kapakapakupi.com and please buy us a samaga.
And Andy, you put the gup in hang up.